We're going to talk about Texas A&M quarterback Marcel Reed, talk about his performance against Notre Dame last night, and look at maybe 6 or 7 of his best throws, his best plays against Notre Dame. But before we look at those clips, I got maybe 6 or 7 clips we're going to look at. Let's talk about his performance. Let's talk about what we previewed during the week, and then talk about what happened in the game. Then we'll dive into a few of those clips. So overall, for the game, I thought he made throws when it mattered. A tough environment, not perfect by any means. There are throws that were missed, but what stood out to me was his ability to bounce back from missed throws, his ability to bounce back from that interception versus a very good defense on the road. It was the ability to bounce back, and do enough to win the game. When you score 40, whatever points, 41 points in a atmosphere like Notre Dame, I think obviously you take that offensively, right? Like it's performance that you take. You continue to get better, but I think you saw development throughout the game. I mean, you beat one of the best defenses in the nation. So overall, I thought he made throws when it mattered, especially that last drive, the 3rd and 8 run, even to keep the drive alive in the fourth quarter with under 1 minute left, whatever it was. So let's talk about Reed. Let's talk about his numbers real quick, then we'll dive into these clips I want to get into. So Marcel Reed, 17 to 37, 360 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 pick, 9.7 yards per attempt. PFF didn't have any drops. I counted at least 1 drop. But still, completion percentage was much lower than you wanted. He had 37 yards on the ground, that none bigger than that 3rd and 8 first down run on the last drive of the game. So 3 keys, kind of 3 takeaways I thought Reed did well on was, number 1, big plays off of play action. This is something we've talked about the entire offseason. You saw it earlier on against UTSA and Utah State, but he had some big plays, especially in the first half, when it mattered off of play action. Off of play action, he was only 5 of 12. Again, he missed some throws. Like there were throws and completions left on the field, but he still hit on some big plays. Off of play action, 5 of 12, 197 yards off of those 5 completions, 17.9 yards per attempt. So of his 17 completions, 5 came off of play action. Of his 360 yards, 197 yards came off of those 5 completions. Now 86, 87 yards were off his first touchdown pass, off of that play action pass, but still, on plays that didn't utilize play action, he had 12 completions for 163 yards, 6.3 yards per attempt. 30% of his dropbacks were off of play action. The rollout touchdown pass, the deep pass that put him inside the 2 or 3 yard line was off of play action, which we're going to look at here in a few. Key number 2, he had big plays when it mattered. Again, it wasn't like you had these plays flowing the entire game. Had a strong first half, a slow second half, followed up by a big end of the game. But he had big plays when it mattered, especially that last drive, that 2nd and 7 throw we're going to look at, the 3rd and 8 run to keep the drive alive. And then sometimes your guys make a play, and that's what his guy did at the end of the game, right? He was only 2 of 9 on balls thrown 20 yards or more downfield. And there are probably, I think, 2 I could think of that throws should have been made, right? You should have completed some of those throws. But I think him and Klein are getting closer and closer to being on the same page, right? If you hit a few of those plays that you missed, then the score is even different. But you still hit 2 plays. You hit the plays and completed the passes when it mattered, especially at the end of the game there. So while there's still room for improvement, you still hit on some of those big throws. Then something we talked about in the pregame kind of breakdown was utilizing the entire field. And he did a good job doing that. Of his 360 yards, 190 yards were between the numbers, 170 yards were outside the numbers. Now, 7 of those yards were on that rollout for a touchdown early in the game. But still, you utilize the whole field. Notre Dame's defense had to defend you. You threw 360 yards on Notre Dame's defense. Now, your wideouts are legit. That's something A&M fans have been telling me about the whole offseason, and it's time for the rest of the SEC and everyone else to believe, right? But those are big takeaways. Big plays off of play action, big plays when it mattered, and utilizing the entire field. Now you got an off week, you have a huge win. You had a huge win, you made some huge throws, some huge plays. You missed some throws. But now you continue to develop during the off week. Did I say off season? During the off week. And you continue to go and get better. So with that said, let's go ahead and look at 6 or 7 clips of Marcel Reed from the game against Notre Dame, and then we'll wrap the video up. And as always, we're not in our normal office, so I apologize. It's a little different setting. But let's go ahead and check out these clips. We got, I think, 6 clips of Reed. We're going to watch maybe 7. We'll see here shortly. And again, it's broadcast footage. I apologize. I have to slow it down so YouTube doesn't get mad at me, but it does a good enough job getting the point across. So here's Reed's first big play of the game. Again, slow start. You have this play, then you throw a pick, and then you have a few more big plays after that. But this is the touchdown touchdown pass to A&M fans. I'll let y'all tell me the name of the receiver. Y'all know I watch these games on mute as I have several on, but it's a play action. 30% of his drop back or play action. I love the rollout. We've talked about this here. I still want to see more and more of this. It gets him comfortable. And notice it gets the defense all biting in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. They're all looking at Reed running the ball or these small throws here. I think you're going to have more opportunities for these type of throws later on in the season. This got Reed comfortable. The receiver did the rest of the work here. This is one of his five completions off of play action. And this goes for 80-something yards. Again, he had 190-something yards off of play action, off 5 completions, something like that, 17.6 yards per attempt here. Ends up being a touchdown. All right, next clip that we'll watch. Another big play off of play action. Here, this gets him down inside the 2 or 3 yard line. You're going to see play action, deep ball here, good catch. Man, A&M's receivers are legit, man. I've been talking to several pretty big, some fans of the shows, big Aggies, and they keep telling me about the receivers. But look at this play action. Look what it does here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That 5, 6, 7 guys, within 4 or 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. I think especially with A&M's run game, if it can continue to have some success and have more and more success, again, Notre Dame's defense is legit. I think these play action throws are going to be here. This is a big, deep throw, puts him inside, the 5 or so yard line, and A&M's eventually able to score later on here. What are those 2 receivers' names? There's 2 legit receivers. Again, I had the game on mute, so I apologize. Here's a 3rd and 8. This is just a good development here, going through progressions, comes back on this side of the field. No play action. 3rd and 8. Play action isn't going to confuse anyone here, and Reed's able to make a good throw. He had several big 3rd down conversions. Good ball placement there, too. And this eventually leads to, is this the drive before half, I believe? I don't have the play clock, and wow, that's a good hit, the play clock up in front. All right, another play action throw here. We're going to see him hit a receiver down the seam of the field. Again, Reed made some throws. I know he missed on some throws. There's some throws and completions he left on the field. But I thought overall it was a good performance, even if the numbers were a little lower completion percentage-wise. I say play action here. Look at all of Notre Dame's defenders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Man, I love play action for a quarterback like Reed and A&M's defense. I'm glad we're seeing it more and more. And then Reed's able to hit on the seam throw, and then they're eventually able to score on this drive here. I think Moss with a touchdown run a few plays later. So again, the first 3 of the first 4 plays we just watched are off of play action. Another play action here. And this is I think this was like right before half, I believe, one of his big plays. I like this because it was play action. He wanted to take off. This is where I think we see some of the development. Then he stays in the pocket. He goes through his progressions and makes a really nice throw. Boom. Down here. Good job of the offensive line picking up guys too. So it was off play action, yes, but the biggest takeaway here was going through progressions. You can see that he wanted to start running a little bit because he's comfortable with that. Goes through progressions, settles in the pocket, makes a really nice throw here. So this is one of the last plays before half. They end up scoring, and then A&M's offense doesn't do all that much until the last drive. So this is when it's 40-34, and it's a 2nd and 7 here. It's a good read by Reed right here to his receiver. Boom. Throws it before the linebacker can't get over there in time. The receiver does the rest of the work. So 2nd and 7. So this was an example of making throws when it mattered. And it mattered here whenever you were down by 6, less than 2 minutes in the game. Have to have a drive here. So a good completion there by Reed. The next play, I don't know if I had the next play actually, but there was a 3rd and 8 run, which I don't have, but a 3rd and 8 run that kept the drive alive. Then of course you have this 4th and goal touchdown. And sometimes to win games, you just need to have your receivers, your tight ends, your guys make a play, and that's what happens right here. So overall, I thought Marcel Reed made some really, really big throws. It was kind of the MO of the game. Made some really big throws, right? Obviously missed on some, but made some big throws. Now you continue to get better, continue to develop. You take a win against Notre Dame, right, on the road. You are almost a touchdown underdog, and you come out and win. So A&M fans, I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts on Marcel Reed in the comments below. Obviously, there are more completions than this. I just had to choose, 6 or 7 of the top completions. I love the big playability off of play action. I love that. I love the fact that he bounces back after missing on throws after the interception, but he's still able to bounce back. I think that's a great trait to have as a quarterback. And I think you did see development against a really good defense, right? So now you kind of work on it, get back in the lab, have an off week, and then you got, I think, Auburn coming up after the off week. So, A&M fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of Reed? What did you think of the game overall? We have some more cool quarterback stuff coming out. We're going to be, if it's of interest, you give us your email. We're going to be sending out game recaps the morning after, like PDF, big breakdowns, and then we're also going to have game previews, defensive previews, depending on the quarterback, the keys for the quarterback and the keys for the defense to stop the opposing quarterback. So that's of interest to you. Let us know. We got some cool partnerships coming up. Like the video, share, subscribe. It helps us grow. We'll see you next time. Peace.